All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, California, to today's California Citizens Redistricting Commission business meeting. I have to make that distinction since we've been having the public input meetings. Today is July 28th, and we are looking forward to a full agenda and also to hearing updates and also hearing from Californians on any comments that you may have about what we may be discussing. All right, shall we go ahead and take roll, Robbie?
Yes, Chair. Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Great. Commissioner Fernandez?
Presente.
Commissioner Foranshari? Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Lamons? Commissioner Sadwani?
Here.
Commissioner Sanai?
Here.
Commissioner Taylor?
Present.
Commissioner Toledo? Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez? Commissioner Yee?
Here.
Commissioner Ahmad?
Here.
Commissioner Akutagawa?
Here.
You have a quorum, Chair.
All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's go ahead. Let's start with public comment on items that are not on the agenda or just general public comment. Katie?
Yes, good morning, Chair. In order to maximize transparency and public participation in our process, the commissioners will be taking public comment by phone. To call in, dial the telephone number provided on the live stream feed. It is 877-853-5247 for this meeting. When prompted to enter the meeting ID number provided on the live stream feed, it is 886-5389-8419 for this meeting. When prompted to enter a participant ID, simply press the pound key. Once you have dialed in, you'll be placed in a queue. To indicate you wish to comment, please press star 9. This will raise your hand for the moderator. When it is your turn to speak, you will hear a message that says, "The host would like you to talk," and to press star 6 to speak. If you would like to give your name, please state and spell it for the record. You are not required to provide your name to give public comment. Please make sure to mute your computer or live stream audio to prevent any feedback or distortion during your call. Once you are waiting in the queue, be alert for when it is your turn to speak, and again, please turn down the live stream volume. And we do not have any callers at this time, Chair.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll give the live stream a moment to finish the instructions and finish the stream. And in the meantime, we'll just hold tight for a couple minutes.
The instructions are complete on this stream, Chair, and we do not have any callers at this time.
Okay. Right. Hopefully no one is having problems getting in, but in the meantime, we'll go ahead and keep moving on with our agenda. Let's go ahead and go to director reports next, and starting with the executive director's report. Director Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Want to let you all know that we are going to have some additional recommendations for staff hiring today. That will come forward by the Director of Communication as well as the Director of Outreach. So they'll be bringing forth two of those, or some additional names for that. I also want to talk about our budget. We finally have a document for you guys to review. I apologize for not having it up sooner. My mistake on that. So we have two documents. One is the appropriation document. One of them is the expenditure document. So the appropriation document basically outlines the different appropriations that we've received in the course of the commission's since 2019. You'll see that information. You have Budget Act of 2019, Budget Act of 2020, Budget Act of 2021. That was the most recent one where we did the May revise and asked for the additional funding. So if you look at the second document, which is the expenditures document, and I've sent that out to the commissioners as well. It is posted on our website for those who wish to take a look at it as well. You'll see that the expenditures that we have for the different categories that we've listed here. We are at salaries, benefits, million one. Commissioner per diem and travel, 655,000. Videography contract, we have that 283,000. The legal services, we don't have anything yet. We haven't received invoices. So this is as of the 6/30, which is the end of the year, the end of the fiscal year. Information. We're still going to be receiving information for July, and I believe that will reflect a larger portion of the expenditures because we've hired additional staff. We have the legal services on board as well, and so we've had a number of COI meetings in July, so there's a lot more activity that's happened in July that will show an increase in our overall expenditures. So I wanted to share that with you. I'm sure that you'll have some questions. I want to also allow Commissioner Fernandez to add any additional information she'd like to share.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and I apologize for sending this out. We wanted it earlier, but unfortunately, we were still working on the numbers and still working on the format. We wanted to try to make it as easy, understandable as possible. And I just wanted to make one comment regarding the expenditures. As you may know or may not know, there's normally a 1-month lag in terms of expenditures because the invoicing for many of these services and contracts will come the month after the services are provided. And the same is true for Commissioner per diem and travel. It won't be reflected until that information is submitted from the commissioners and actually paid and posted to the fiscal system. Is there anything else? Commissioner Fornashari, where is he? He's not here. Okay. Oh, I see. He left me by myself. Got it. Okay. Just kidding. That was it. We're going to report on this. Yeah, I think that was it. Thank you.
So our goal is to report on this regularly so that you can see where we are with things. And then, there'll be some additional requests that we may make to the legislature and the Department of Finance for additional funding when necessary. We'll be looking at our overall expenditures and our overall plan, given the recent changes from going back to virtual versus the in-person for August. So we have to go back and look at our overall projections and see where we are with everything. So, okay. Moving on. We have contracts. I believe a director of communications will be discussing and sharing some of those contracts that we've talked about for outreach activities, such as radio ads and things like that. So I'll defer to him for that. Other than that, that completes my report for today. Thank you. Any questions?
Looks like Marion has a question or a comment. You're on mute too. Okay.
I don't see that it's posted.
Okay, we're going to get that posted. I've sent it over to Freddie, so it might be just a lag in my email to him. I apologize.
It's up. If you refresh, it should be up.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. Okay, Commissioner Sinai?
I'll be honest, this isn't how I traditionally
see budgets or are presented budgets to be able to provide oversight and ask good questions. And so obviously, if the other commissioners are comfortable with this, we'll move forward. But I am more used to being able to see, okay, this is our monthly projections. This is where we are. This is how we, having them in two separate documents is difficult because you have to go back and forth. Plus, we just received it 2 minutes before this meeting started. So having good questions is difficult without having more detailed information and having more time to review. So the only question I can ask is what areas are we overspending and what areas are we underspending? And do we have any concerns? When you say we're going to get this on a regular basis, this is the first time we've gotten it since March. And it's not a lot of information. So I'm just curious if my fellow commissioners feel like they have enough to be able to feel comfortable with the oversight of the work we're doing.
Commissioner Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, and thank you for the report. I think what I'd like to have either as an update or by the next report is just the percentages showing this is where we are and kind of what was indicated by Commissioner Sinai. What is the percentage? Are we over or under in each of these areas? And I know that might be kind of hard in some of the spaces because, of course, we're going between expectations of virtual and in person and what have you. But the budget is for a particular time period, maybe even if it's something as simple as this, if we were just dividing it evenly, something to give an idea of this is a flag. We're getting close in this area, or here's a particular place where we've had money allotted that we're not spending at all for various reasons, or spending a lot slower that can be reallocated to different areas would be helpful. Thank you.
Commissioner Fernandez.
Yes, I'd just like to respond to some of the questions or the comments that have been made. First of all, we weren't able to present this budget information earlier because the fiscal, it's a new reporting system and it's different than what I was used to. And we have to go kind of like a roundabout way to get the expenditure information. So that's why it took us a while to come up with the format and the information and to validate the information. So that's one piece of it. But going forward, we do have the format now and we do have the information. We know where to go to get all of the information that we need. So we can try to provide it on a monthly basis. In terms of the detail, Commissioner Fornashari and I felt that this was a high enough level for the commissioners as well as the public. We do have access to the detail, but we also felt as the Finance and Administration Subcommittee, we do review the detail. And we thought it was our charge as the subcommittee to bring forward to the commission a higher level versus a 30-page document that shows every single expenditure line item, which is how the expenditure information is reported. And in terms of the percentages, yeah, that would be something very easy. We can just add another column probably to the right, showing what has been expended so far. I think that would be an easier just showing how much has been expended, like a percentage versus how much we still is left. But that should be easy enough to do. I think that was it. Thank you. Great questions.
Yeah, Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Sinai.
So I guess I'm relying on my experience as a school board member because at the end of the day, we're held completely accountable for the full budget. So we were given the full expenditures. And it worked out well because sometimes we caught things we didn't, and we also learned about what was happening. I'm feeling kind of, I don't want to say I don't trust the subcommittee, but the subcommittee has a lot of power in a way that's been taken kind of, the subcommittees are only supposed to be groups that recommend to the larger commission, and the commissioners are still held responsible for all actions. And so maybe revisit and think through how more information can be shared, because we're all held responsible.
Okay. Okay, not seeing any other. Okay, Commissioner Toledo.
I just wanted to thank the subcommittee for the amount of work that that it took to make something that's so complex. I know our budget is pretty complex, and put it into this more simple document that allows us to understand our full budget. I agree with Commissioner Turner and Sinai about the percentages and just giving us, letting us know a little bit more about how we're doing, where we're I hate to say overspending, but overspending or underspending according to our projections and our goals. And that being said, I mean, it'd be important to also be able to project. And so as much as we're able to, with the data that we have, and I know it's difficult given the technology, software issues, and also the staff, right? The time and capacity to be able to do that. But as much as we're able to project how we're going to be at the, by the end of the next quarter, the end of the year, et cetera, so that we can plan accordingly. That'd be great. But I know how much work it is to work with the budget and to massage the numbers, to be able to get them to something that is digestible like this, and it's really understandable. And I think it's a good first pass. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to suggest that we put this on the agenda, or that we plan to discuss this further at the next meeting. That would give us time to review it further and come up with any additional recommendations that we might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kennedy. Actually, I'd like to then add on to what Commissioner Kennedy said and also what Commissioner Toledo said. First off, I do want to also add my thanks to the Finance and Administration Committee. I know that this is a lot of work, and it's, as Commissioner Toledo has pointed out, it's a lot of work in trying to boil it down to a place where it's still informative, but also high level enough that we don't get too lost in the details. With that said, I do also agree with having a column that indicates over and under budget. And one other thing that I would like to ask that I think would be helpful, given if this is the format that we are going to agree to go forward, what it looks like is we have basically 2 months worth of budget that is being presented to us. It would be nice to get us, I know that this is going to probably add some more work, but it would be nice to get a context in which we see the entire year. And then also what the new fiscal year is going forward, because I know that the July numbers are not in, but since it is the beginning of a new fiscal year, it would be also helpful to be able to just compare, the previous year's fiscal years to the current fiscal year, at least once for perhaps this next meeting that we'll have, just so that we get a picture of the entire year. I think just the 2 months is also a little hard to really understand where we are. We got the other budget, but I will say that I do also appreciate this budget, although I understand what Commissioner Sinai is saying as well too, but at least this gives most of us the high level enough information that we can at least start to ask questions if we need to. Anyone else with comments? Not seeing anyone else. Okay. Thank you, Director Hernandez, and thank you to the Finance and Administration Committee. We will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the Communications Director's report.
Thank you, Chair. Well, hello, Commissioners. Wanted to start off by giving you an update on what's going on with the bids for radio and billboard advertising. We did receive bids for zones E, F and G coupled together, HJ coupled together, and IK coupled together. Those are in the hands of our administrator. They've been scored and recommendations have been made. So we're dealing with the contracting aspect. They need to go to OLS for approval. We're still waiting to get a second bid for zones ABD, which were coupled together, and zone C. We should be getting those second bids today. And then we'll forward the recommendations again to the administrator to get those going. Our bids for social media advertising and for newspaper advertisements should be coming in today as well. So I'm gonna hold off till I have everything together in a complete picture before I present it to you, so that you can see who's gonna be providing those services. I also want to report out that we interviewed for the communications coordinator position. We had 4 qualified candidates and 1 really stood out. So we forwarded the recommendation to the admin and finance committee, and we hope that they'll be moving forward with the recommendation today. We're shooting for an August 10th start date. And again, this position will be solely responsible for updating the website, helping with graphics and social media. We have a lot to update on the website, and it's getting busier and busier as we have to upload documents and keep that up to date. For the social media report that was posted online, we're starting to see huge numbers, increases in engagement, as well as our website. For Facebook, we have 1,040 likes now. We've had 83,340 people reached in the past week. As far as Instagram, we have 208 followers now. We've had a reach of 19,100. That's up by 117%. Twitter is more active. It has 1,587 followers. So people are looking at what we're posting. And we've had 8,721 profile visits in the last month. That's up by 45%. LinkedIn, we've had 265 followers. Again, that was increased when we posted the communications coordinator position on there. And then YouTube still has 62 subscribers, but we've had 1,102 views at our videos. So people are starting to poke around and look at what we're putting out. We hope to, once we have another staff person added to the team, to be dishing out more content so that we can get folks engaged. Nation Builder, our database has grown again. I actually got a bill in our email saying, hey, congratulations, you have more people added to your database. Here's your new bill. We have 13,362 people in our database now. So it's grown by about 2,000 people. So every day I get pings on my email saying this person has been added to your database. So it's just a testament of how much we're growing. And once we start doing the advertisements on radio, billboard, social media, you'll see those numbers increase dramatically. This month, July 2021, we've received 131 COI email submissions, in addition to whatever's come into the through the COI database, COI tool database. These are emails that we're receiving in-house. So we have 131 to add on to the other COI totals. And as far as interviews, the commission was mentioned over the past week in The Sun, in Cal Matters, Citizen Journal, VC Reporter, on Kion, Napa Valley Register, and the Los Angeles Sentinel. And that's my report for today.
Okay, great. Let me just see if there's any clarifications. Director Seha, I have a couple clarifications for you. You mentioned that you received bids. I didn't hear where Zone K fell in your bids. Is it one that you received, or is it part of the waiting?
Yeah, so we've received bids and have recommended contractors for zones E on itself or on its own, for zone F and G coupled together, for zone HJ coupled together, and IK. And we're still waiting for one more bid that we can present, because we need 2, for zones ABD that were coupled together, and Zone C alone. And those should be
Okay.
coming in today.
Great. And then just one other clarification. You mentioned 131 COI inputs that you received through emails. Is that correct? Through the
Yes.
website? Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make that clarification, make sure I heard that correctly. Okay,
And
thank
you'll
you.
see those on the website very shortly.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
they're
you.
being uploaded as we speak.
All right. Okay. So anyone who's listening, if they're curious, they can go to the website and at least poke around on those received inputs then. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Let's go ahead. Let's go to the Outreach Director's report.
Hi, good morning, commissioners and the public. I wanted to highlight again that we have released a digital toolkit. It's on our website, and it includes background information about the commission, ways to participate in the process, and how stakeholders can help spread the word, whether through social media, through an email newsletter, on their website, and more. And that's in our outreach materials on our website. I wanted to highlight some of the last COI input meetings that the commission held. On July 22nd, the commission hosted a communities of interest input meeting focusing on Monterey, San Benito, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, and Ventura counties. There were 47 speakers in total. A majority were focused on Ventura County. However, the commission did hear from all the counties that the meeting was focused on. Also on July 24th, the commission held a communities of interest input meeting focused on Orange County, which is Zone J. There were 26 speakers in total. Majority of the speakers focused on OC coastal cities, and some callers discussed Westminster, Fountain Valley, Midway City. Some gave input on Irvine. And I also wanted to highlight upcoming communities of interest input meetings that the commission is hosting. Tomorrow on July 29th, the commission will be hosting a communities of interest input meeting focused on Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Solano, and surrounding communities. Anyone in California is welcome to provide input during this meeting. It will be from 4 to 8 p.m. Registration has closed. However, the public can call into the meeting the day of. We'll be sending out an email blast today, which also includes the call-in information, which is 877-853-5247, and the passcode is 851-2663-3433. This information will be posted on the live stream for the COI input meeting, and we've been updating our social media the day before the meeting with the call-in information as well. For this meeting, we have 9 people registered, so we're really encouraging the commissioners to help spread the word and the public that are tuned in. And I think I noted the communications team will be sending out an email blast today. On 7:30, the commission will hold a COI input meeting focused on Zone H, which is LA County, and the meeting is from 4 to 8 p.m. There's 35 people registered for the meeting, and the registration closes today at 5 p.m. We did get a request for Spanish interpretation, so we will have an interpreter on the line for that meeting. And on Saturday, July 31st, the commission will hold a community of interest meeting focused on Zone I, which is San Bernardino and Riverside counties from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There's 43 people registered, and the registration is actually now full for that meeting, but the public is still welcome to call into the meeting the day during the meeting, and the call-in information will be on the live stream as well. The next COI input meetings after that include August 4th and August 9th, as well as numerous more throughout the month of August and September. All of the information about the upcoming communities of interest meetings are available on our website on the meetings tab, www.wedrawtheline.ca.org/meetings. Additionally, we've posted an updated flyer for all upcoming COI input meetings in the outreach materials section of the website. The flyer does reflect the 4-hour meeting times for August, as well as information about language access. The Commission will be providing automatic interpretation in Spanish for all of the August and early September COI input meetings, and have also identified one meeting each for the additional 11 languages that the Commission has prioritized to provide automatic interpretation on an audio line and to have an interpreter on the meeting. As I've mentioned in the past, all other requests for interpretation of public input must be submitted 5 business days prior to the meeting and can be submitted by email at interpreter.request@crc.ca.gov on the registration form for the COI input meeting, or by calling our offices at 916-323-0323. All of this information I just highlighted is on our website on the meetings tab page and also on the flyer for the COI input meetings. Everything is moving forward to begin our automatic interpretation for the August 4th meeting, and staff are working on procedures and staffing to implement the additional language support. We've also sent the flyer for our COI input meetings to the language vendor for interpretation into the 12 languages and hope to have that back soon. And also just want to highlight at last week's commission meeting, the commission voted to continue these meetings virtually. The COI input meetings are not the only way that the public can share their community of interest with the commission. You can also visit drawmycacommunity.org to share your communities of interest with the commission, or you can submit public input or comment to the commission by emailing votersfirstact@crc.ca.gov or mailing our offices at 721 Capitol Mall, Suite 260, Sacramento, California, 95814. The COI tool now has 699 COIs submitted by members of the public, which is an increase of 75 submissions in the last week. Additionally, the line drawers have submitted a total of 343 COIs, which are digitized from the public input meetings. In the last week, there was also 2 COIs submitted in Spanish. And as I've highlighted in the past, the statewide database has created short video tutorials in English on the COI tool and some of the different steps in the process. They have now released a few videos in Spanish and will have more coming soon in other languages. And these are available on the statewide database YouTube channel. Additionally, this last week, outreach staff have followed up with venues they had either secured or communicated with for potential hybrid COI input meetings to thank them and to notify them that the commission will continue meeting virtually, but may circle back this fall. And we've also shared the digital toolkit and really encourage those entities to continue to engage in the process through our virtual COI input meetings or other ways the public can participate. Outreach staff has also been focused on interviewing field staff and onboarding recent staff hires that the commission approved last week, and has been helping to lead this effort. Our Northern California field staff, Vanessa Greer, began her work last week and is off to a running start, helping us with our outreach tool in Airtable to track contacts. Our Southern California field staff focused on zones I and K will begin this week. And we have 2 additional field staff that we have recommended to the Admin and Finance Subcommittee for the Central California field staff and the SoCal field staff focused on zones H and J. And so I will defer to that subcommittee when they're ready to provide their recommendation to the full commission. The outreach team has continued to focus on outreach for upcoming COI input meetings and really also highlighting the various ways to participate in the process, including the COI tool. At the local and statewide level, we're focusing on a broad range of entities to help amplify the commission and looking at other stakeholders, including faith communities, food banks, local business chambers, and broadening to other types of entities, in addition to local governments and other CBOs that the commission has engaged with. We also have an update from Frank Peasy on the curriculum for 11th and 12th grade graders on redistricting, which is pretty much finalized. They'll be providing curriculum and resources on redistricting to districts and are highlighting Constitution Day on September 17th with additional resources, as well as the curriculum that will be going out. And I'll provide more of an update on that. And that was my report.
All right, thank you, Director Kaplan. Any questions? Okay, let's see none. Let's go ahead and let's move on to Chief Counsel's report.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commission. Just a quick personnel update. I briefly mentioned the last Commission meeting that the finalization for 2 retired annuitants, one was finalized, the other one was still in limbo. Unfortunately, the one that was still in limbo, the candidate has withdrawn. So we don't anticipate a replacement at this time. So Tim Trikelt, who has been working with us and Marion for at least the last few weeks, is going to be not only addressing contracts issues, but also addressing conflicts of interest. And I've already had him start working on a process that we're going to hopefully implement here soon with all of you on as a regular sort of periodic conflicts checks. I think that's all I have on the personnel update. So for purposes of going forward, it will be the 3 of us, myself, Marion, and Tim. And I will, at least over email or at least over a video meeting, have a chance to formally introduce him. Can't be in person right now, but at least virtually in the near future.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and let's move on. I don't see any questions from anybody so far. All right.
I think Chair, I think Commissioner Kennedy has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. Chief Counsel, I was just wondering if you would be updating us on the progress of Stromwasser Rucher in preparing the petition to the Supreme Court, or if that's going to come from somewhere else. Thank you.
Sure, happy to give you at least a little bit of an update. Right now, we don't have an exact timeline yet, but they are still working on that direction from the Commission. When I have a little bit more specificity for you all, I would imagine either myself or Commissioner Sedwani and Commissioner Toledo will be able to report back on that. But they are working on that direction from you all from before.
So nothing has been submitted yet?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, looks like we are at the end of all of our director reports. Let's go ahead. Let's take public comment on director reports only. Katie?
The Commission is now taking public comment on the Director Reports agenda item. To give comment, please call 877-853-5247 and enter the meeting ID number 886-5389-8419 for this meeting. Once you have dialed in, please press *9 to enter the comment queue. The full call-in instructions have been read previously in this meeting and are provided in full on the live stream landing page. And we do not have any callers at this time, Chair.
Okay, let's just hold tight for a minute just in case somebody needs some time to call in. I will say that in the meantime, we will be, I just want to give a heads up to the Government Affairs and Census Committee that you will be up next. I'll just wait a few more seconds. And Commissioner Toledo or Sadwani, I believe, will be up next. And which one of you will be giving the report?
Either of us can. I mean, we don't have much to report at this point.
Okay.
So there's no significant update that I'm aware of.
All right. Excellent. Let's go on to agenda item 4B, Finance and Administration. Commissioner Fernandez and Fornachari.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead this time. Sorry, I apologize for being late and missing the beginning of the budget discussions, but thank you all for your feedback. And we will continue to work on that and fine tune it. So we have a couple of things to talk about, the travel policy and the hires. So why don't we start with the discussions of the hires. So I'll start with Freddie, if you can just kind of briefly summarize the qualifications, the expectations and the qualifications for the candidate, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you so much. So as I mentioned earlier, we did interview 4 individuals for the communications coordinator position. The candidate that we are moving forward had extensive experience working with Nation Builder, which was a must, but has also been working for advocacy organizations in Los Angeles, mainly with the CARES and Central American Resource Education Network in Los Angeles, an organization much like Chidla that has been working on immigration advocacy and making sure they're engaging those hard to reach populations that are either monolingual or immigrant populations in Los Angeles. But not just in Los Angeles, the reach is nationwide. So a lot of the values there and knowledge, skills, and abilities aligned with the requirements for the position. He has worked on updating their websites with Nation Builder, which was amazing. Has written blogs, newsletter content, and has updated social media channels and is an avid user of social media and can do social media graphics, which is also helpful. So I'm very excited to bring this person on board so that we can have a stronger communications team. And like I mentioned earlier, be able to push out more content to engage Californians.
Thanks, Freddie. And then I'll ask Marcy to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. We are recommending 2 candidates for field staff positions. These are part-time positions supporting the field leads and outreach staff with outreach and administrative efforts related to COI input meetings and other outreach. The candidate for the SoCal field staff would cover zones H and J. This candidate comes to the commission after more than 10 years in the field of healthcare and healthcare administration. His work included a great deal of database experience, which will help the outreach team in its support of the commission's work and also direct interactions with the public and external stakeholders. His customer service and public-facing program coordination experience were part of his more than 2 years at UCLA's Operation Mend, where he worked to support military veterans and also gained that experience during his 4 years as a critical first employee for a cultural center in Silmar, California. The candidate for Central California field staff is a recent graduate of the University of California, Davis, where she was on the Dean's Honor Roll and received her Bachelor's of Arts in International Relations. She has significant office experience and customer service experience supporting aspects of a landscaping business. She also completed an exciting internship with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation as a legislative affairs intern. And during her time in DC, she assisted with research, congressional presentations, and record keeping. Both of these candidates are local to the area where they will be working as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcy. Commissioner Fernandez and myself have reviewed the resumes and the job postings for all 3 of these jobs and support the hiring of these candidates to help out and fill out our staff roles. So we would like to make a motion to hire the proposed candidates.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Commissioner Fernandez.
No, I was going to second the motion. And if we could, if you don't mind, Commissioner Furnishar will actually name the positions, communication coordinator and field staff on the motion, if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Forgot about the second. Any discussion? And I do just want to note that we do have a person who did call in to make public comment. It might have been that I went too fast to the report, so I will take general public comments in addition to when we go to public comment on this motion. So I just want to give everybody a heads up. All right, seeing no other hands up. Okay, we will go ahead and go to public comment on this particular motion, Katie. But can you also just, we'll also take the caller that called in on the previous one too.
Yes, Chair. The commission will now take public comment for the motion on the floor and also the public comment for the previous agenda item, I would assume, and general public comment at this time. To give comment, please call 877-853-5247 and enter the meeting ID number 886-5389-8419 for this meeting. Once you have dialed in, please press star 9 to enter the comment queue. The full call-in instructions have been read previously in the meeting and are provided in full on the live stream landing page. And at this time, we do have caller with the last 42829. If you will please follow the prompts to unmute. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Hello, commissioners. This is Renee Westalusk. I'm calling mainly because I thought maybe the General Legal Counsel would give an update on the petition to the California Supreme Court to get an order. This motion was made back on your July 13th business meeting. Is there progress in communicating with the California Supreme Court? Have they already ruled? I haven't heard anything. I'd like some update on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Westalusk. Yes, Chief Counsel Payne did give an update very briefly at the end of his report. He mentioned that our counsel Strumhauser Woocher, I think I may have butchered their name, is in the process of preparing the petition to the Supreme Court, but nothing has been submitted to the California Supreme Court yet.
Okay, I heard the law firm mentioned, but I didn't understand that it was pertaining to the Supreme Court order.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for calling and asking. Okay, Katie.
That was all of our public comment at this time, Chair.
Okay, seeing no other callers, and I believe that the instructions have had plenty of time now to have been read off and streamed on the live stream. Director Hernandez, shall we go ahead and go to the motion and the vote?
Yes, let's check the motion for spelling. Hopefully you'll catch the one I put in there purposely. Wink, wink. No. So the motion is to approve recommended candidates for the communication coordinator and the 2 field support staff. Yes, sorry. The communication coordinator and the 2 field support staff. Motion was made by Commissioner Fornashari, seconded by Commissioner Fernandez. If that looks correct, I'll go ahead and proceed with the vote.
Yes, let's go ahead.
Very well. Commissioner Ahmad.
Yes.
Commissioner Akutagawa.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fornashari,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamons, Commissioner Sadwani,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanai,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Toledo,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Vasquez, Commissioner Yee,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Finance Administration Committee on that work. I do know that you have one more item that you're presenting.
Yeah, the draft travel policy. I want to start up by thanking Commissioner Fernandez for all of her hard work in getting this document distilled down. It started, it was about a 15, 16, 17 page document. What we tried to do was to distill it down to a resource for the commissioners and staff to use to understand, how to do travel, in the context of the state of California, and not include all of the gory details of the rules, but just how those rules apply to the commission. So you can see on the first page, we have 10 scenarios here for traveling. And nominally travel is supposed to be, approved on a case-by-case basis. But we thought that for the first 6 scenarios that, they should be just blanket approval for those 6 scenarios. So we don't, every time somebody travels, we don't have to go through an approval process. And those are basic, just commissioner travels, staff traveling to meetings. Hopefully we'll be having in-person live meetings, but it also covers commissioners traveling to Sacramento for meetings and to other places. The third bullet was, we had discussions about potentially, having gatherings of commissioners, maybe in Southern California at some location where the commissioners might all get together and tune in to a meeting. So we wanted to include that in case, that happens. Then the final 4, one is if commissioners have to travel to litigation-related travel, and we thought that would be approved by the chief counsel. And then the final 3 instances would be approved by the current chair. So if a commissioner has to travel for a media-related appearance or education or advocacy. And then the final example was part of the discussion that we had last week about traveling around California to familiarize folks with parts of the state. And we met, Commissioner Fernandez and I met with Director Hernandez and Chief Counsel to talk about this and what that might look like. And we thought about a couple of examples maybe that might be an example of what this might look like. For instance, if a commissioner wanted to drive up 395 and see what it looked like on that side of the Sierra, and then cross the Sierra and drive down down the valley to familiarize themselves with that. We got specific feedback or input on that topic, but many of us, I imagine, have not been in that part of California. And so to familiarize ourselves with that kind of thing, or, so travel related to input or clarification on the input we've received, I think, or we're thinking would be appropriate in that context. Just taking a week to travel around California, may or may not be appropriate unless it's specifically related to, input is what we were thinking in that context. But we want to bring this forward to talk about that and those scenarios and what that might look like. I think the rest of it is kind of explanatory, self-explanatory. So I don't know if Commissioner Fernandez, if you have anything else you'd like to add.
No, thank you so much. You covered it really well. Again, these are just the scenarios that Commissioner Furnishari, Executive Director Hernandez, and Chief Counsel Payne, that's what we came up with. There may be other scenarios. I think by the 10th time that we had reviewed the document, our brains might have been a little fried. But anyway, so what we try to do is just, as Commissioner Furnishari said, we just try to really tailor it down to something that hopefully would be easier for everyone to understand the process. And then we also included links because the per diem rates and specific requirements for maybe, I don't know, a certain scenario or situation, it will actually take you to the travel policy that the state has. So after we printed it out, I did find just a couple edits that I'll fix before we move forward. But if there's any questions.
All right. So Commissioner Kennedy and then Commissioner Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions or thoughts to start with. First of all, on number 7, I would think that we would drop or legal representation and leave this fully in the hands of Chief Counsel. Other legal representation can request or recommend to the Chief Counsel, but since Chief Counsel is overseeing all of the legal work, I would be more comfortable with having that fully in the hands of Chief Counsel. Also, on the last 3, the chair rotates, and it's not always clear to everybody when the chair is rotating and so forth, and there could be differences in interpretation and application from one chair to another. I almost think it would be, more consistent to have these last 3 approved by admin and finance or some person or combination of people that is constant from month to month. On method of travel, and this is something that I encountered last year when traveling up to Sacramento for the first meeting of the first 8, there was a question of, COVID and health and so forth. So, yeah, I guess having in the best interests of the state, but we also want to make sure that it's in the best interest of the traveler's health. And maybe that can be assumed to fall under the best interest of the state. But, I drove because I was simply not comfortable flying at that point. There are also issues of even getting from Palm Springs. We will later this year have a nonstop to Sacramento, but we didn't. And trying to come up with a schedule that worked was very, very difficult. So in the end, the travel by rental car was approved. So I just want to make sure that we're taking into account the health of commissioners and staff in this policy. on receipts for meals and incidentals, and I've worked for any number of organizations that have had any number of policies, but I don't think I've ever seen a requirement of employees having to produce receipts substantiating amounts claimed within established per diem rates at some unknown future date. I mean, what's the retention period for this? That just struck me as a little excessive. Clearly, if there's something in excess of the per diem rate, if you're claiming an expense for a group of people, those sorts of things, and we can have a clear retention period on it, that would be fine. But retaining receipts for some unknown period for claims that fall within the per diem, established per diem rates, just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. I may have some more later, but that's what I wanted to start with. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Kennedy. Commissioner Turner.
Thank you. So my concern is just a little bit different, and for sure it has to do with state allowances, but I just wanted to name that my shock and surprise was just even looking at the dollar amount allotments that's on here. That to me seems very much so outdated. And I'm not certain that this commission can do anything about a state allowance, but when I'm looking at not so much the meals, whatever they are, but even when we get down to the lodging requirements, I'm not quite sure where we are expected to stay for $90 and $100 a night. So I just wanted to name that was the shocking part about it. I appreciate the boiling it down, making it easy. It's very easy to understand and appreciate it. But these rates are not realistic for any place that I would stay. So it reads to me like these are now just opportunities for me to spend money to supplement what the state is not willing to do.
I see Commissioner Sinai. I think that's it. Yep, Commissioner Sinai.
Commissioner Fernandez has her
Oh.
hand up as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Commissioner Turner, that was my reaction as well. And I've had to travel within government rates, but it was federal government rate. And I am planning to come up to Sacramento the 8th and 9th. So I started looking at hotel government rates, and none of them fit into this. So what Director Hernandez recommended was to actually call and say you're looking for state rate, not federal rate. But I was, $7 for breakfast. That's a cup of coffee these days. And so, I was kind of shocked by how low the state rate is compared to the federal rate. And I just wanted to publicly, just to understand, we create our policy. Do we have to follow exactly the state guidelines? Is that what for the prices? Okay, so Neil is shaking his head yes. So, sorry, Commissioner Fornashari is shaking his head yes. I will let you know, Commissioner Turner, what happens when I call in, if they actually lower the rate or not. But that was my, playing the game of calling everyone until, there is a way to get around it if you can't find one, but but you have to call, and Director Hernandez can explain it. But I looked at the process, and it was talking to 3 different people and documenting it all. And since I charge per hour, that's all. It's cheaper for me to just pay the difference than for me to spend that much time running around to document it. So I felt the same way you did, Commissioner Turner, that I'll be supplementing a lot.
Okay, Commissioner Fernandez and then Commissioner Fornachari.
Yes, I just wanted to provide responses. And yes, welcome to my 30 plus years life in state government. Yes, the rates do not keep up. In terms of the per diem for the meals as well as incidentals, that's a flat rate. We can't go above it. And the reason you have to keep the receipts is in case you're audited. It's not the commission's requirement, it's the state requirement. I'm not sure what 30 plus years I've never been audited, excuse me. But if you were, you have to have receipts. I'm not sure what the retention schedule is for that. And in terms of for the lodging, we do have on page 4, there is an excess lodging rate request. And so what you need to do is you fill that out and you forward it to us, and you do show 3 other, I believe it's 3 other rates showing that you couldn't find anything under whatever the rate may be. I just do it online. I just go in there and I check off for state rates. And if they don't have it, that's what I print out. And that's my justification in terms of this is the hotel. And then here's a copy of 3 others that also do not have the state rate available. So yeah, it's disappointing, but it is what it is. And yes, working 30 plus years, I did supplement quite a bit. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Okay, Commissioner Fornatari and then Commissioner Turner.
I'll let Commissioner Turner go. I thought Marcy raised her hand too. No? Okay.
I just had some Sacramento hotel recommendations that are in the budget that I've stayed at, so I'll share that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Turner, then we'll go to you.
Yeah. So in response, all very helpful information. I just wanted to say that things are the same until they change. And at some point, I think that this just does need to be challenged. I think it's ridiculous that there would be an expectation for the amount of travel that we're going to do, that I would need to take time to contact 3 and 4 hotels to be able to determine and send in paperwork. No, you can probably tell probably before now, I've not worked directly for government, but this is, I think, an awful waste of time and resources when there is an acknowledged and a known average amount. For example, even for Sacramento at $95, I don't know, I just wanted to name that. And I think we should be pushing back. We should be coming up with additional guidelines, rules, even under the excess lodging that says if the base nightly room rate exceeds the current state rate, then an excess lodging rate approval request must be submitted. If for any of those areas, perhaps if staff then did do some research and come up with what is a current average for a hotel, then if we're around that price, that we need to have some sort of policy that says this is, or maybe they should make recommendations. But for all of us to go through the process and submit 3, I don't think is reasonable. And so I wanted to name that. From my perspective, I think that's way too many phone calls, too much work, and too much paperwork to be submitted.
Hey, Commissioner Fornatari, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for their feedback so far. I work for the federal government, and the federal per diem rates are in some cases more than 50% higher than these state rates. It's ridiculous. I agree. I do, Commissioner Turner, like your suggestion of having staff help us out. So a part of what I envision is going to be happening, or we envision is what's going to be happening, is if we're all traveling together, the staff will be making arrangements for us. But we will definitely think about ways to streamline this hotel process. And I appreciate that feedback. And Commissioner Kennedy, I think I appreciate your feedback too, and we'll look into incorporating your comments. That's all I had.
Okay, Commissioner Kennedy, and then myself.
I mean, on the retention of receipts issues these days, receipts, depending on how long they want us to keep them, they don't even last. They fade. so you'll have a piece of paper that has nothing legible on it just because it's so old. So, do we have to photocopy every receipt? If we're going to have to photocopy every receipt, then, we might as well just say, submit all of your receipts to headquarters, and then the headquarters takes responsibility for archiving all of this. I really don't think that should be on the individual commissioner to try to retain receipts that are just going to fade and become illegible over some period of time, depending on how much heat they're exposed to, et cetera, et cetera. It's just so under car rental resources for state travel, I would suggest that 2 sentences be reversed. Expense claims for rental vehicles at non-contracted companies will not be reimbursed should come before, the only exception being the Crescent City Airport, which does not have either company. So yeah, I think that's it for me for now. Thanks.
Okay. Just my comment. Was waiting to see if anybody else was going to mention this. I don't know if I'm reading it incorrectly, but I think it's a little odd if I'm reading it properly, where it says in terms of meal reimbursements, it does say that for trips lasting less than 24 hours, either before 6 a.m. or ends at or after 9 a.m. breakfast may be claimed if a trip begins at or before 4 p.m. and ends at or after 7 p.m., dinner may be claimed. And it says when, let's see, there was a portion that said essentially that lunch may not be claimed, or it doesn't really speak to whether or not lunch is claimable. Is that correct?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, it's
so
reads
yes,
weird.
if the travel is less than 24 hours, lunch cannot be claimed. But if it's a day and a half, then you can. So if your original trip was longer than 24 hours and goes into the next day, you can. But that's, again, these are the California Human Resources policies. It's not Alicia's policy. It's not Neil's policy. We had to take the information. So yes, if it's less than 24 hours from the start to finish of your trip, you may potentially claim your breakfast, potentially claim your dinner, but it depends, right? It depends when you start and when you finish, but you cannot claim lunch. And I don't know the justification for that or the what the thinking was, but it is what it is. And we were talking with Executive Director Adnan this earlier, and he did say if there's a time when many of the commissioners are going to go to a certain place, staff can call ahead of time and book rooms or get a block of rooms and do all of that, the paperwork for us, and in terms of contacting other lodging also.
So on that same note, I also want to clarify this too. It also says when trips are less than 24 hours and there is no overnight stay, meals claimed are taxable. Does that mean it's taxable to us?
Yes. Yes. Taxable to the individual.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I thought I was really understanding it incorrectly. Thanks for the clarification. It is. I do have to echo what Commissioner Turner said. I do want to just make it known that seems a little rather odd and perhaps borderline ridiculous, that as if we're traveling either on business on behalf of the state or as an employee, that just seems a little odd that you would have to be taxed on something that you're doing on behalf of your employer, but on our part as a volunteer of the commission. So one last question that I want to also just ask about, and this echoes a little bit of what Commissioner Kennedy said. My particular concern is on number 10, which is commissioner travel, to familiarize themselves with parts of California. I understand some of the suggestions of potential scenarios for it. I would like to suggest that we come up with some guidelines to what that means. I am concerned that it would be seen as basically the commissioner or the commission, or more specifically right now, I'm going to say the commissioner, if it's individuals, basically taking a vacation, at the cost of California state taxpayers. So I think as a commission, we choose to make trips for the purposes of familiarizing ourselves. I think that may be a little bit more easier to perhaps justify and speak about. But I think as individual commissioners, we're deciding, we're going to go on vacation somewhere because we want to familiarize ourselves. I would be concerned that there would be commentary or concerns about, waste of taxpayer dollars on, just basically taking a vacation. Commissioner Fernandez and then Commissioner Fornachari.
Yes. Well, I guess two pieces. In terms of the per diem and the lodging and all of the rates, unfortunately, we don't have the time to try to submit comment or try to fight that. But maybe part of the lessons learned, if we want to try to add that, and then maybe one or two people take that on in terms of feedback to CalHR or whoever may be. I think that's a great idea because it has been outdated. It always lags. And then the second point, thank you, Chair Akutagawa, for bringing that up. I did want to go back to the scenarios, specifically 7 through 10. I know Commissioner Kennedy had mentioned, excuse me, leaving out legal representation on number 7. And the reason I opted to keep it in is I'm not sure. Nothing against Chief Counsel Payne. I hope he stays with us forever. But what happens if we don't have a Chief Counsel, right? So I was thinking longer term, past drawing maps and there's litigation. So I just wanted to have someone there that would approve it, or obviously would let us know about any potential our need, any subpoenas, or our need to be present for any sort of litigation. And then, yes, so Chair Akutagawa, if you don't mind going through 7 through 10, maybe those scenarios, and let's see if we need to make any changes to that. That would be great. Or actually to all of them, if there's any other changes to the 1 through 6 as well. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Fornachari.
Yeah, I think what we'll do based on the feedback and comments. I know Marcy has some hotels she can suggest in Sacramento, but we'll get a list together of nearby hotels that would offer the state rate. I know that when I was planning on staying up in Sacramento, I called a hotel that was just a few blocks away and got the state rate, even though it wasn't listed on the website. And so we'll get that figured out and definitely have that for the commissioners.
Okay, I see Commissioner Turner had her hand up.
Thank you. Two quick things. To stay with the chart number 7, the chart is giving scenarios and showing approval or approach. And here, we're regardless of what we list, Chief Counsel and or legal representation, is it that they're approved, or is it that they will be reviewed by chair, or can we just add in what is the action? We list the players, but not, So can it read Chief Counsel and or legal representation approved, or they're going to be reviewed by the chair or something instead of just their name there? And then under going back where the Crescent City, I think when Commissioner Kennedy mentioned it, he made me read it a little bit closer. Am I just understanding? I won't find it, but is it saying that if we were to fly into a place and meet up with other folks and catch a lift, lifts are not approved? Is that what this is saying here? No lifts or any of those other ride shares?
Yes, it's app-based providers such as Zipcar, Lyft, and GigCar are not allowed.
Okay. So period, there were no, okay, thank you. That's all.
Commissioner Fornachari.
Commissioner Fernandez, so can we take a taxi? But I mean, if we can take a taxi, why can't we take a Lyft?
You can ask Cal HR.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't know the answer.
Again, it's not
I'm
Alicia's
sorry.
policy by no means. No, it says
Okay.
expense claims for rental vehicles at non-contract companies will not be reimbursed. This includes app-based providers such as Zipcar, Lyft, Gig, and I would assume Uber as well. Yeah, sorry. Don't hate me.
We don't hate you. We're just thinking it's a little outdated.
Commissioner Kennedy.
I had meant to mention this earlier. I think just for the purpose of having a comprehensive policy, the policy should have whatever statement we want to make on expenses for spouses, partners, whoever who might at some point accompany a commissioner on a trip, and how any expenses related to that. I mean, if a hotel charges for an extra person or something, just how's that dealt with? Just better to have it in the policy and understand how it's going to be dealt with one way or another. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands. Commissioner Fernandez, I do want to ask you, it looks like there is going to need to be some further revisions, perhaps, and some additional kind of clarification on the items. So can we ask that that the Finance and Administration Committee, I guess, take it back and relook at some of these comments and questions that have come up and return back to us at our next meeting?
The reason, well, we wanted to bring it forward, and we could do that. There aren't that many revisions that I have so far, but we did want to have something in place because comments at the last meeting were that we didn't have some of the commissioners. It sounded like some of the commissioners were holding off on travel because we didn't have a travel policy. But we've had a travel policy during our first meeting in August. Raul Villanueva, he did provide us with the travel information, but this provides more direction, I guess, in terms of what's allowable by the commission versus not allowable. I've made comments. The only change I will not make, or I would recommend not making, is Commissioner Kennedy did bring up a point regarding if someone else travels with them that is not a commissioner. Again, this is reimbursement for the commissioner only. So if the other people that are coming with or traveling with you, if that needs to be separated out, it should be separated out. But what should be submitted is the commissioner expenses for their sole expenses.
Okay, so Chief Counsel Payne, I do see you. My question would be on numbers 8 through 10. Does there need to be some type of guidelines that will then be supplemented as an addendum? Perhaps we can go ahead and vote on the travel policy today, and then with the understanding that there would be additional guidelines around those particular items. And then also, given Commissioner Kennedy's suggestion that it not be the chair, but perhaps a more consistent body such as the Finance Administration Committee. All right, Commissioner Fornaciari, and then we'll go to Commissioner Anderson. Oh, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Payne, Chief Counsel Payne did have a comment, so my apologies.
Actually, Chair, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to recommend what we could do is, if the commission wanted to vote on this version and certainly come back and make additional tweaks and or addendums to them, they certainly could.
Thank you. Commissioner Fornaciari.
Yeah, actually, I was going to suggest that maybe the commission can approve travel to headquarters to attend meetings today, and we can go back and work on these suggestions, because I think some of them are kind of fuzzy, and we need to think them through a little bit and what the scenarios are. And I guess I wouldn't feel that comfortable asking the commission to approve us developing scenarios that we would implement without kind of coming back and reviewing them, what we've suggested. So, I mean, maybe we can just approve the travel to headquarters for the time being and then work on the rest of it. I don't know how Commissioner Fernandez feels about that. But
Okay, we'll go to Commissioner Fernandez and then go to Commissioner Anderson.
I think I would be okay with that, but maybe if we can approve a few more than just one, just the first scenario, especially if at some point staff need to go out to do something, and then we could we could obviously approve the travel policy and exclude certain scenarios. That's for sure. That's something that's doable. But I'm hoping that maybe we can go through some of them. I would hope that maybe at least 4 and 5 and 6 maybe we could approve too. That's for the staff in terms of if at some point in time we are traveling, they're able to travel. I mean, they can travel now regardless, but at least it's in writing.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
I was going to say, I recommend we go with approving 1 through 6, and then with the 7 through 10 be part of the stuff that's coming back, and the other expenses and details as we have discussed with slight modifications again to come back for further details. But right now, let's approve 1 through 6.
Okay. Commissioner Fernandez or Fornachari, would you like to make a motion?
Actually, the only one I really, out of 1 through 6, number 3, if I could just draw your attention to that one. That one's commissioner travels to a specific location to attend a commission meeting with other commissioners. So that would be, let's say there's a site in Southern California and it's not necessarily our headquarters because we're going to have our videographer will be here in Sacramento, but maybe there's a group attending in Southern California together. So I just want to make sure all the commissioners are okay with that. I support that, but I just want to, that's the only one that would be a little different than just the regular travel.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. So what's the difference between number 2 and number 3? I mean, meeting sites throughout California would seem to include a specific location to attend a meeting with other commissioners.
Right. So number 2 would be, let's say we were traveling. So it's a designated site that we will be, like if it's Zone K and we're actually traveling to Zone K, it's a specific site. 3 is in this virtual world. Right now, the headquarters, Sacramento, is the main location for our videographer. So during virtual, we're all at home. But let's say, for example, someone finds a location, some of the commissioners want to actually attend the meeting together, but they can't come to Sacramento. So they want to attend in whatever location that is. Does that make sense, Commissioner Kennedy, or did I just confuse it even more?
I still think it could be subsumed under number 2.
Commissioner Yee.
The difference I see is number 2 involves a planned meeting of commissioners for versus 3. I mean, I'm thinking, for instance, of the far north, and I think I'm remembering even conversations since we don't have a commissioner from the far north. When I promised people from the far north, "We'll come to see you," I'm wanting to make good on that. But if we're just located somewhere, taking in a virtual meeting, that's different than actually having a meeting in that place. So that's the distinction I see. It's tricky because if we don't have a scheduled agendized meeting in a location somewhere, of course, we also cannot meet privately with people because that would be against Bagley-Keene. So, trying to think of some way to see some of these places that may well be worth seeing in person and yet, stay within the rules.
Okay, Commissioner Kennedy, back to you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm thinking that, if you look at Bagley Keene and requirements for teleconference participation and so forth, I mean, a meeting is not necessarily in one location. A meeting can have several locations for the same meeting. And that's why, in my mind, 2 and 3, I don't see a real substantive difference between the two.
Okay. Thank you for that. We are up against our break. Let's go ahead. Let's take our break, 15-minute break now, and we will return at 11:15, and we'll see where we'll go forward when we return. All right, thank you. Welcome back. We are going to continue on our previous conversation around the travel policy. I do see that Commissioner Fernandez has her hand up.
Just hot off. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Anyway, hot off the presses. In terms of app-based providers, Zipcar, Uber, and Lyft, they are allowable. So I'll be making that change to the policy.
All right.
Okay, so see the power that I have? No, just kidding.
Now, can you fix everything else that we brought up?
Sorry, I have to mute myself now.
All right, Commissioner Sadwani.
Sure, just on that point, if it is allowable, what is the best way to show a receipt for that? It's typically on your phone, screenshot that's printed, or just that little logistic. If you could add that into that, it would be great. You don't necessarily have to answer now, but.
Commissioner Sinai.
I know no one here is an accountant and won't want to give tax advice, but it might be helpful if staff can look into, for all of us, just get the guidance or on if we do have to pay things out of pocket, what is and isn't allowable as a write-off on your taxes.
All right, Commissioner Fernandez.
I'm laughing because Director Hernandez used to work at FTB, right? For many years. So that's good. Good we have an insider. In terms of the app-based, I think, can you send it to your email and then just print out your email, the expenses? That might be the best way to do it. And then in terms of the tax, I don't know. I use TurboTax.
Okay, I see Director Kaplan and then Commissioner Turner.
Yeah, I know on Lyft you can go into the app and then you can click on it. It also gives you a printout map that I would have to submit in the past when I've used that.
And they do also send it to your email too. So
yeah, it goes to your email. Also.
Yeah.
So it's a PDF that you can print or attach to the TEC.
Commissioner Turner and then Commissioner Fornachari, did you have your hand up?
That's all. And I was just going to refer to the PDF. I know it's pretty easy to print out receipts for app-based Lyft rides.
Okay. So, all right, I'm not seeing any other hands. My question is to the Finance and Administration Committee. Do you want to bring forward a motion or do you want to wait?
Yes. I'm trying to think of the motion. I will bring forward a motion that we approve the travel policy with edits mentioned and just scenarios 1 through 6.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay, Commissioner Fornachari, thank you. Okay, thank you for seconding it. Any discussion, any comments? Commissioner Toledo.
Yeah, I'm just, it sounds a little, I'm just wondering if we just want to approve the policy now, knowing that there's going to be edits in the future, instead of approving some things and not others. I'm always for like the simplest thing. I don't think that anything in here is so incorrect, or that's the wrong word, but that isn't something that we couldn't live with or we couldn't fix in the future. And so I'm just, if we want to approve this policy, I think perhaps just approving it with the recognition that it will be changing, or if we have specific changes to it now, right?
Okay, so Commissioner Toledo, are you suggesting or making an amendment to the current motion?
I'm just suggesting that, yes, so I'm just asking for a friendly amendment that maybe we don't just limit to the 6, but rather, that we just pass, that we move forward with the entire policy, recognizing that there will be changes. But I mean, at this point, we're not really traveling much, other than perhaps maybe staff, at least for the next month. So we still have an opportunity to update this further. And the areas where we might have some travel are seem to be appropriate at this point. There's a item for each one of those. And of course, it's added, making the change for the apps and stuff like that. That makes sense. That'd be my suggestion to Commissioner Fernandez, if she's willing to take it. I mean, she may want to just limit it to the pieces that are absolutely that absolutely makes sense at this point.
Okay, Commissioner Fernandez, do you accept?
Commissioner Furnishari, what do we think on this? Is that you want to go? Are we going big or going home, or all or nothing? Or
well, I'm fine with that suggestion. If the commission is, I mean, I don't know what the pulse of the commission is. I mean, if we'll get it approved, I mean, we'll go back and work on the suggestions and work on some scenarios for 7 through 10 and kind of think about the approval process and how we'll do that and bring that back. So if the commission in general is comfortable with that approach, I'm fine with it.
Okay. We're going to go for it.
Okay, so you are amending or accepting the friendly amendment. It looks like Commissioner Fornaciari, as the second, you are also accepting that friendly amendment. Okay. I do believe Executive Director Hernandez is probably going to want a rereading or restatement of the motion.
I'm sorry. Motion to approve the travel policy with edits. Was that it, Commissioner Toledo?
Yeah, I think that would cover it. Approval of the policy with stated edits around the apps, and there were a couple others.
Yeah, or just edits. Yeah.
Edits,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional hands, comments. Okay, let's go to public comment on this, and then we'll then take a vote after that. So Katie, public comment time.
Yes, Chair. The Commission will now take public comment for the motion on the floor in regards to the travel policy. To give comment, please call 877-853-5247 and enter the meeting ID number 886-5389-8419 for this meeting. Once you have dialed in, you'll be placed in a queue. Once you have dialed in, please press star 9 to enter the comment queue. The full call and instructions are read at the beginning of the meeting and are provided in full on the live stream landing page. We do not have anyone in the queue at this time, Chair.
Okay, Katie, would you please just let me know once the live stream is finished? Oh, Commissioner Fornaciari.
Yeah, I was just looking at the updated travel policy, and apparently motorized scooters and bicycle rentals are covered too. So,
you mean like Lyman Bird? Okay. Being
The
green.
instructions are complete, Chair.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Executive Director Hernandez.
Okay, I like the simplicity of this one. Thank you, everyone. It's making my job so much easier. Okay, we will begin the vote here. Commissioner Ahmad,
Yes.
Commissioner Akutagawa,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson. I don't see her there. Okay. Commissioner Fernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fornashari,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Abstain.
Commissioner Lamons, Commissioner Sadwani,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanai,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Toledo,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Vasquez, and Commissioner Yee.
Yes.
I believe this does not require a special vote, so the motion passes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And
but
thank you to
doesn't
the
require-
Finance and does not require. Okay. Thank you to the Finance and Administration Committee for your continued work. We do appreciate it. Okay, let's go moving on with the subcommittee updates. Let's go to number 4C, Gantt chart.
Nothing to report at this point, Chair.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Kennedy. Let's go on to number 4D, VRA Compliance Committee. Commissioner Sadwani and Yee.
We Commissioner, you feel free to jump in here at any point. We are waiting to hear more from the Stromwasser Becker team about their process to hire an RPV, racially polarized voting analyst. They did have out a call for proposals. My understanding is they received applications from 4 different either individuals or teams to serve in that capacity, and we're planning to hold interviews this week, but I haven't heard too much more about it. As you may recall, we had agreed and the RFP for the legal team had specified that they would have the ability to identify and hire the person that they felt most comfortable with final approval by the commission. It occurred to me, Chair, I know there was talk of canceling the August 5th meeting. That's still fine. But I do think that at some point we will need a vote on the final approval of RPV, and probably that would have occurred on August 5th. But if we're not meeting that day, that's going to be okay. We'll figure it out for August 10th. Okay. Russell, anything else to report? I think that's about it.
Yeah, just that our line drawer, Karen McDonald and David Becker did meet to have a working meeting last week, and they said that went well. So looking forward to their continued collaboration.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And we will see the product of that collaboration on August 10th when they present what they are currently calling a heat map using ACS data of identifying those regions where they anticipate we will need additional analysis for VRA compliance, that RPV analysis. And so please stay tuned for more on August 10th.
All right. Great. Anything else? All right, thank you. We'll go on to agenda item number 4E, Outreach and Engagement Subcommittee, Commissioner Sanai and Pornachari.
Is it okay if I ask a question for the group before us? I was raising my hand.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you.
No, it's hard
Yes.
to see. Commissioner Sadwani, you had said that, well, let me ask you, if we postpone approving it till August 10th, the racial, the consultant who will work on the racial is that putting our timeline behind because that person can't work until we approve them? Yeah, what is that doing to our timeline of getting work done?
It might put us slightly behind. Certainly there had been mention at the last time that we spoke with David Becker that some preliminary analysis might be conducted prior to August 10th that could be shared on August 10th. So if we can't approve the RPV analyst until the 10th, that's not going to happen. Is that completely detrimental to our entire process? I don't think so. I think that we will probably be fine. And in some ways, we have a lot for August 10th already. So in some ways, if then we push that to whatever our next full meeting date is, I think that could work out also. I didn't anticipate that much analysis having been completed by the 10th in terms of the racially polarized voting. It's really the focus is on that heat map of ACS data. And then we can give the direction in terms of RPV, the RPV analyst at that meeting. I think it'll work out okay. But yes, I mean, I think we are losing a few days there, but between the 5th and the 10th, how much would realistically get done that would be ready to present? I'm not sure. So I think it's fine. But
I guess I was looking at it more between the 5th and not the 10th, but the next meeting, just the accuracy of the whole thing.
Right.
Because if we just go one meeting at a time, it's one thing, but we need to be looking at the big picture since we are starting to hit deadlines.
Yep, absolutely. And when we get to the line drawer subcommittee, we're definitely thinking about the RPV piece in there as well, and really having a further, a much more robust analysis completed in September. So we're certainly thinking about that full trajectory, and I think we just need to spend some more time being able to meet with Becker to really finalize that process. I think that's one of the ongoing challenges.
So Commissioner Savani, if I can ask a follow-up question then, based on what you said that the legal counsel team is holding interviews this week. Will they have a candidate ready to present to us if we were to have a meeting next week? And then, as you had also mentioned, will that 5 days make a difference in terms of being able to have something that makes it so that we should do so? And then at what point will you know whether or not they will have somebody to present to us on the 5th?
I believe that they would have someone to present for August 5th. In all honesty, Russ and I haven't had a chance to speak with them. I don't know if Chief Counsel Payne, when you spoke with the team last week, if they had any specifics in terms of their timeline.
As per the RPV analyst, I didn't have an exact because I think they were just closing the advertisement, and they were still expecting some additional applications. So I don't have any more specificity than that. So I'm not sure exactly what their timetable is past that point.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have not made any decisions yet. Perhaps we could stay in communication as to whether or not there will need to be an action that, and then if for whatever reason, as Chief Counsel said, if it doesn't look like they're going to be ready, excuse me, then we could go ahead and plan for that to be brought forward at the August 10th meeting. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds great. We will do.
All right, thank you. Let's go on to agenda item 4E, Commissioner Sinai and Fornishari for outreach and engagement.
Nothing significant to report.
Okay, all right. I like this. We're going to just move right along. Okay, let's go to agenda item 4F, language access. This is myself and Commissioner Fernandez. I know that we have noted that we believe we have been sunsetted, but our agenda item continues to show up on the agenda, so we do not have anything to report. Is that correct, Commissioner Fernandez? Okay, thank you. We will move on to agenda item 4G, materials development, Commissioner Fernandez and Commissioner Kennedy.
We received draft short videos from the communications team. Both Commissioner Fernandez and I have provided some initial comments on those. So we are looking forward to the next version of those, and those should be finalized very soon. Anything else, Commissioner Fernandez?
No, and we're still, I believe, the last update we received for the paper COI communities interest tool is that it's with the post office right now that we're trying to work that piece out right now, but it has been translated into the various languages. So we're just waiting to hear back from the post office, and then we can send that out and post it and onto our website.
And Commissioner Fernandez, just for clarification, when you say it's at the post office, do you mean for the self-address,
Yes.
postage? Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
not there to be mailed out to everybody. It's just to get their information as to how to put that prepaid postage on that, and then we'll have to print it out. Thank you.
And the idea was that we would also ensure that the format of it, the folding and so forth, was within Postal Service guidelines as well.
Great. Yes, that would be sad if we printed and it is not in guidelines. Thank you for making sure that that is accurate. Okay, let's go on to agenda item 4H, the website, Commissioners Kennedy and Taylor.
We had provided our second set of recommendations to staff, I believe, last week. So we have nothing further at this point. I don't believe we will continue to monitor it, and we will continue to monitor public feedback and make further recommendations as necessary. Commissioner Taylor, do you have anything further?
Nope, I agree with that statement accordingly. We look forward to the onboarding of any assistance or our website managers so that we can help to implement those changes and suggestions.
Excellent. All right. Commissioner Turner, did you have your hand up to make comments? Sorry, I just saw the wave.
It was probably just flopping around. No comment.
No problem. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go on to agenda item 4I, data management. Commissioners Turner and Ahmad.
No updates at this time.
Okay. Awesome. All right. We'll move on to agenda item 4J, communities of interest tool. Commissioner Kennedy, I'll ask if you want to report on anything.
I have nothing. Director Kaplan has already reported on the number of submissions through the tool.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on to agenda item 4K, cybersecurity.
I don't have anything to report. I don't know, Commissioner Taylor, do you have any?
No, I agree, Neil. Nothing significant to report. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's go on to agenda item 4L, incarcerated populations for state and local facilities. Commissioners Fernandez and Sinatra.
We've been sunsetted, so it's showing up. So we have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, and then agenda item 4M, federal facilities, Commissioners Kennedy and Turner.
Commissioner Turner, anything?
Nothing at all, sir.
No, I will try to follow up with Senator Padilla's office to make sure that we just close the loop on the letter that we sent.
Okay, great.
Commissioner Sadwani has a question.
Okay, Commissioner Sadwani.
Yes, I do just want to note that as we get closer to August 16th and the presumed date that census data will be made available through the legacy data, we do need to figure out what we're doing here with the federal data. Are we doing anything? Are we dropping the data completely? Is there some other scheme that we're going to use? Because ultimately, to develop the redistricting database, we're going to need to know what the will of the commission is. If we need to bring others to kind of help give some insight to that, we could do that. So I just wanted to push a little bit, because this question does need to be answered actually sooner rather than later in order to develop the redistricting database.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Commissioner Sadwani, for the question. My understanding was that whereas the legislation gave us the option of deciding what to do with individuals in state custody, we do not have that same latitude with individuals in federal custody, and that, the census data are what they are in relation to those individuals in federal custody at this point. And we've also received clear indications from Federal Bureau of Prisons that, other than giving us large number, or the number of individuals in federal facilities, that's all they can give us, and that's not useful to us in building the database. So my understanding is that as far as individuals in federal custody, the database that we receive from statewide database is the database, and we don't have any leeway to change or give instructions even.
Commissioner Sadwani?
Well, and I mean, yes, I think that is all absolutely true. But and I'm trying to please feel free to refresh my memory if I have this wrong. But previously, we had voted on and discussed a motion around the federal inmate data. And the recommendation at that time was simply to drop the data, right? So that it's no longer in the database at all. I had raised some concerns, and I think others felt, is that not correct? My concern
not that I recall.
No.
Yeah.
No?
Commission.
We took a vote to send the letter to Senator Padilla because there was a hearing coming up imminently, and we wanted to at least go on record as asking Senator Padilla to press the Bureau of Prisons for data that might be useful to us. But my understanding is that all of the communications, at least to date, with Bureau of Prisons have resulted in nothing of utility to us.
Commissioner Sinai.
I don't remember. I don't feel like we said anything about the federal inmates because we still wanted to see what information we would receive, but I could be wrong. So it'd be good to go back to look at what the motion stated. We do know that the statewide database was able to get the number of inmates in custody at the Bureau of Prison on April 1st, 2020, who claimed to be from California as their state of residency was 10,326. So that was about as much information we received. We don't have any more details about those 10,326. So I think your question was, what do we do about those 10,326 individuals? How do we count them? And that, that part has still been up in the air. And then that means of all the other folks who are in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, all the other incarcerated people in the Federal Bureau of Prison in California that are not this 10,326 are from other states outside of California.
Commissioner Sadwani?
Yeah, my thought, I could have sworn I remember there was language that I think it was you, Commissioner Sinai, and maybe Commissioner Fernandez, who was waving her hand, specifically had. It was about dropping all of those folks from the database. So I just wanted to see if that's still something we're contemplating, because I think at that time there was interest to do so, to do something with those federal inmates. I remember specifically I had raised the concern that if we're dropping people completely, that what precedent does that set for other communities? And what is another scheme in which we might otherwise distribute them throughout the state? But Commissioner Fernandez, I think, can maybe fill in some gaps here. And I could also just be misremembering it.
Commissioner Fernandez.
You are remembering it correctly, Commissioner Sadwani. We did come forward prior to splitting out the state from federal incarcerated population. Commissioner Sinai and I did bring forward a recommendation that we remove the incarcerated population from the federal facilities. And the problem was we had nowhere to put them because we don't know where they're from. And so that was the issue and the concern at the time, which is why the motion did not go forward, because we didn't know where to put those 10 to 14,000 incarcerated populations in federal facilities. And that's when the motion, that's when they went forward with the Padilla letter, trying to get information. And the only information we had was what we received from the Karen McDonald, and she gave us the totals, and we were able to look up how many incarcerated populations per facility in California. So we had those numbers, but again, those numbers may also contain incarcerated populations from other states. So what we were able to get, we tried to move forward with it, but again, we didn't have anywhere to put them. That was the concern.
Commissioner Satwani.
Sure. So just to close the loop on this, because my understanding after that conversation, and thank you so much, Commissioner Fernandez, I thought I was like losing my marbles here, but was that we were going to think about how to redistribute them. But at this point in time, given our timeline, it sounds like our path forward is to just leave folks who are in federal prisons where they are, and to not attempt to reallocate them or redistribute them in any way, shape, or form. Is that what I'm hearing from the subcommittee, I suppose, or all?
Commissioner Turner, and then
Yeah.
Commissioner Akon.
Yeah, perhaps it's a conversation that we still need to have. The letter that was sent was asking two specific things. I pulled it up to see. The letter was asking for the, it's our hope, given your experience addressing the issue and your membership on the Senate Committee on the Judiciary, which has oversight over national penitentiaries, you might be able to help break any log jams that are preventing us from receiving data that would assist us in our work. Therefore, we are specifically seeking your assistance in two areas. First bullet was obtaining from the Federal Bureau of Prisons useful information on the previous residents of individuals held in federal facilities as of April 1st, 2020, ideally individuals held in facilities located in California, as well as Californians held out of state for this redistricting cycle. And then secondly, working with your colleagues on the Judiciary Committee to ensure that such information is available to the 2030 California Citizens Redistricting Commission and its counterparts in other states going forward. So for the piece that we were working on, we were waiting still on a response. And I think the updates we're providing was that we've not heard from them for this. The discussion that you're lifting now is perhaps a discussion that we need to have and bring some closure to. But this is what we were waiting on response for.
Okay, Commissioner Akon.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. If dropping or keeping this population within the data set is even a decision that the Commission can make, or is that something that statewide database has a purview over as the holder of census data? I'm just not sure.
Commissioner Sinai.
I was looking. The way that it was presented to us by Ms. McDonald was, I don't know if this information helps with anything since the law doesn't provide for random reallocation within California for this cohort, but I wanted you to have this information. So they're not they're waiting for us to decide what we do with that 10,000, if we do anything, because there is no law around it. And so she even put her arms up in the air and said, here you go, but I don't know if this is helpful at all.
I think based on Commissioner Turner's suggestion, it does sound like further conversation, perhaps at the subcommittee level, would be warranted, and then for them to come back to us so that we can have a further and more informed decision after some additional consideration. Commissioner Turner and Commissioner Kennedy, is that acceptable to the both of you?
Well, we will meet on this and come back to the next meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and let's move on to agenda item 4N, Lessons Learned Committee. Commissioner Ahmad and Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. We have submitted, and it is posted as a handout, a submission to the Commission recommending that the Commission engage in a lessons learned discussion at the August 5th meeting using the questions outlined below to orient the discussion. We feel that with the Commission having been in place for a year, it would be useful to capture some of the lessons learned at this point before we have to shift our focus to the map drawing. If we wait until after map drawing, we may lose some of the detail that we would be able to capture at this point. This would also be a little bit of a practice session for what we hope will be a very robust lessons learned exercise next year after the map drawing, after the litigation, giving people a better idea of what to be looking for as we go forward. And our hope is that the report, or the final report that the Commission issues would be better, more detailed, more useful to the 2030 Commission and other stakeholders as a result of this interim lessons learned exercise, if you will. So the questions that we've suggested as a discussion guide, first of all, what do you wish you had known about the redistricting process a year ago? Second, what additional training, if any, do you wish you had had before the mapping phase begins, since we're getting close to that point? Looking forward, what would you want to say to anyone interested in being on the 2030 Commission, as well as how is the 2030 redistricting process likely to differ from the 2020 process? Looking for recommendations on are there ways that we can increase our efficiency at this important juncture in our work? Any further recommendations for increasing our reach? Do we have everyone and everything that we need to complete the task at hand? I was thinking further on this morning on as far as recommendations for increasing our efficiency, we might also look at the shifting balance in tasking between the commissioners and the staff. When we started a year ago with very minimal staff, the commissioners took on so much of the workload, and we have gradually shifted that balance. And just, let's talk about, how do we have that balance right at this point? And then finally, just recommending that folks take the opportunity before we get insanely busy to reread some historical documents describing the 2010 process, such as the final report of the 2010 Commission, the handbook document that the 2010 Commission produced, as well as the report that the League of Women Voters had commissioned. So that is the recommendation of the Lessons Learned Subcommittee at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Kennedy. I think I had a bit of confusion. For some reason, I had thought that Commissioner Sadwani and Anderson were the ones that were bringing forward a lessons learned agenda item previously. So I had emailed them to ask if this was something that would be covered at this meeting. Now you know why I was asking you about that. For some reason, it was attached to both of your names. So that's why I had asked if it was a conversation that would be done or could be done at today's meeting versus or perhaps pushed to August 10th. We were just trying to see if it was something that was urgent and whether or not we could make one less meeting if there was no other actions other than the lessons learned. So now I realized I was confused about that. My apologies, Commissioner Kennedy. So question does still stand. Is this something that you feel we should do at the August 5th meeting, or is this something that we should plan for at the August 10th meeting?
My initial or our initial proposal, Commissioner Ahmed and I discussed this and thought that we would put it on the agenda for the 10th of August if there were time available, but otherwise put it on for August 5th. And it does seem to me that we've got more than enough already planned for the August 10th meeting, and that having this as a standalone, or if we want to take a quick vote on the subcontracting of an RPV analyst, August 5th would be an appropriate time to do this. And we wanted to get this, get the general framework into people's hands early enough so that colleagues would have a chance to reflect before we get to that point.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
I like the subcommittee's proposal because it would be from the 10th on, we're starting to get kind of into the maw of the line drawing process, and this will get lost. It's something that we'll certainly get into at the end of it all, but it is good, and I think there's several points here which I think are very appropriate to wrap our heads around a little bit before the August 10th meeting. I would actually request, though, it would make it much easier, recommended reading, if the links to those could be attached to the document here. Because I was actually trying to find the League of Women Voters document. I couldn't find it. So, and then I think, and possibly even maybe another one, which if I find, I will add to the subcommittee's document. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. I was going by what was on the on our agenda building document, and it didn't seem like it was going to be super full. So that's why we're hoping to clear a meeting, since we have a number of meetings, but it sounds like there may be more. So we'll go ahead and we'll plan for that potentially at the August 5th meeting. We'll also wait to hear what Strumhauser and Wucher also say about the RPV analyst as well too. Okay. Let's move on to
Commissioner Ahmad, do you have anything further?
Nope, you covered it all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then last agenda item 4O, line drawer committee, Commissioner Anderson and Sadwani.
Yes, we also have a document which hopefully everybody saw. It is the same document as from last time with a couple of modifications, and I don't know if I can bring that up. I don't actually have it handy. Does anyone happen to have that handy, or I can just for the public's sake, it would be better. to show that. Hang on 2 secs. Oops.
It is part of the handouts, Commissioner Anderson. It was on the website.
Yes, it's just sometimes it sort of helps to look at it for the public's. No, I can't actually. Aha, is this it?
I can bring it up.
Oh, great. Would you please? Great. Thank you very much, Commissioner Yee. The only changes that have happened, this is still the plan. This is again starting at the August 10. We're getting into the sort of recommendations. The VRA, and will be giving us a presentation as well as with Carmen McDonald about population deviation. And then the end of August, the other August meetings will be, as soon as Airtable data is available, we'll go over the debriefs of what we've seen or what the whole input that we're getting, the COI inputs. The September meetings, and this is what has changed. We, based on our input from last time, the series of meetings that September week, we actually we had the 15, 16, 17. Yom Kippur starts at sundown on the 15th until, of course, sundown on the 16th. So we needed to not have the meeting on the 16th. And the idea would be the 15th would be, excuse me, the full CRC meeting. And part of that time would then also go to the line drawing to discuss the actual, now what do we want to do with the COIs? And then the 17th and 18th would be exclusively that. So that would be essentially with the line drawers. And that was, so that's a change. And then I believe that sort of matches what we sort of had discussed as the full commission. And then the other change is back down here on the second week of October. We were doing it, the 4, 5, 6 is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then we were staggering it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday. Excuse me, but we've made a slight change in that second week of October. The 13, 14, 15 is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. As the October is also the next week, the 20, 21, 22 is also a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And those are actually the only changes to the proposal. Now, if anyone has questions about what we're doing, going over that again, we can certainly answer any of those. I can't see.
Perhaps Commissioner Yee, you could stop sharing and then we could see who all has hands up. I think I do see Commissioner Sinai, but I wasn't sure if that was true. Okay, Commissioner Sinai.
Just a really simple question. It looks like we're looking at not having any meetings during weekends in October. Is that correct?
Pull that up. I think
only the potential one.
The 30th. Excuse me. The 30th is a Saturday.
So thank you for asking that, Commissioner Sinai. I would like to ask Commissioner Anderson if it would be possible. I noticed that only the potential one that as needed is scheduled for Saturday. I was going to ask if it might be possible to move either the second or the third one, visualization number 2 or visualization number 3, move it so that at least one of those dates also extends on or takes place on a Saturday, so that there would be at least one opportunity for folks who, would only be able to take part on a Saturday can take part in that.
Now these are business meetings, right? These are, and we sort of, the reason why we're doing it this way is to give the line drawers the time to put together the information between that. And so, excuse me, like when we say the 4, 5, 6, excuse me, one group is going to be doing it on the 4th, and then they will have until the next meet, that next first day, to put all their stuff together. So shifting it back to a weekend would then, it would impact the line drawers a little too much.
Well, actually, Commissioner Anderson, I was suggesting that we move it forward to, for example, 21, 22, 23, the 23rd being a Saturday. So they actually gain an extra day.
Oh, I see.
So that at least one of the visualization sessions would take place on a Saturday.
You mean two of them?
No, because it sounds like the 28th, 29th is as needed. So it's uncertain as to whether or not it will actually happen.
Chances are it'll happen. But I see what you're saying, that we could possibly, well, let's certainly we can go back and talk to line drawers about if that would work.
Okay. Commissioner Fornachari, is your hand up or is it flopping again? Or that was Commissioner Turner that said that.
But Commissioner Fernandez did have her hand up earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Commissioner Fernandez?
Yes, thank you for the information. I guess we also have to consider, we're probably going to need some business meetings in here as well. So we need to see how do we attach it on to one of the days? Do we do a free day? So I was kind of hoping it would be like a proposal of just not line drawing, but also of business meetings as well. And I realize that you're focused on line drawing, but it would be helpful. Like when we did the public input, we did public input plus business meetings. That way we can get it all on one calendar. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, good point. And again, we can sort of have a revisit that and come back at the next meeting with a few more days on there.
Yeah, we definitely weren't really thinking about business meetings and focused on the line drawing process. Is there a sense in October how many business meetings we would want to calendar? 2? And then use as needed, or do we need more than 2?
I think 2 would probably work. Personally, I don't know what the rest of the commissioners feel.
And if we did that, then would that then add a 4th day to any one of those weeks?
I think it would definitely add a 4th day.
Yes. We could try the 7th and go the 20 to 23.
Yeah, Commissioner, we can take a look at that, in conjunction with Alvaro offline.
Right, and we need to run this past the with the line drawers as well. So if we could take that back to the subcommittee and then come back, but yeah, we can add a couple of business meetings, and then as you notice, we sort of drop we don't actually put in anything dates wise November, December, because that is anticipating hearing back from the Supreme Court.
If I can also make a suggestion, in addition, Commissioner Fernandez, correct me if I'm wrong, are you suggesting 2 full days? Like 2 days of 2 full days of business meetings. We've also had the I guess the practice now of having the as needed 4-hour meetings as well too, that maybe that should be also considered in your calendaring as you look at the schedule for October. As we're finding, we schedule these if we need it, but we're taking up a lot of these if we need it meetings too. So just want to bring that up for your consideration too when you look at the calendar. Okay, any other comments about what the line drawing subcommittee has proposed in terms of dates or the document? Commissioner Turner.
Yes, I want to say thank you so much for this, very helpful, and to encourage as soon as we can finalize dates and have them on the calendar is very beneficial. October is not that far away, and to be able to have the best opportunity to fully participate in the meetings, I would need them calendared as soon as possible. So I know we're trying to weigh in a lot of things on that, but if we can get them solidified, that would be beautiful.
I am with you on that, Commissioner Turner, and we will finalize that ASAP.
All right. Is it possible to even look at November as well, too?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, if I may respond, I mean, I think the key piece here is when are the draft maps due? And that date for those draft maps will flow from what our final map adoption date is based on the outcome of the Supreme Court. So to me, it's a little bit of a challenge. We haven't really thought about how to do that yet.
Okay, Marion, and then Commissioner Turner.
If you go by the November 1st date that is currently in play, and you stick with the December 15th, you're only going to have the 6 weeks in between time. I would suggest whatever happens, you get your first draft out no later than November 1st, so you have more time to do another draft if you want to do a draft, because 6 weeks isn't enough time to do another draft and then your final maps, I don't believe.
Okay, thank you.
That's helpful. So maybe we'll just operate off of November 1st and start building out a tentative schedule. But I do think, to Commissioner Turner's point, and I definitely feel you on the need to calendar these things because I got a lot going on too. November, December is just a little up in the air until we finalize the Supreme Court decision.
All right, Commissioner Turner, I know that you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the document for a minute. Also, there is a note here that spoke about the additional CRC business meetings that's tentatively scheduled for 23rd, 29th, and 30th. If these are going to be dates, can we also put them on as dates and then just make them as needed as well? Just everything that we think we could do calendared would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, those dates actually are on there right now. The 23rd, the 29th, and 30th. Those are actually in the original, that I believe that Commissioner Fernandez put together. That's why we just said that we were just saying in terms of what they might be used for. But those, the 23rd, 29th, and 30th are indeed CRC.
Might have been part of mine. Not sure. We're still going to
Executive Director Hernandez, I think you're going to need to mute one of your computers. Thank you. All right. Okay.
The 23rd is a 4 to 8, and the 29th and 30th are full day, the 9:30 to 4:30.
Okay, and I think those are on our calendars right now. If I can suggest to Commissioner Sadwani and Commissioner Anderson, as you look at the date, I think given what Marion has also said, it may be helpful if you were to utilize, if we are not able to get the extension that we're requesting, if you could visualize what those dates in November and December would look like. I think having those at least on our calendars in the event would at least enable us to just be able to at least block some of those dates should we need to use the earlier dates. And then as we've been doing, as things change, we've been just tweaking the dates, and we'll just continue to do that. And hopefully we will be able to receive the extension as we've requested. But I think it may be helpful for just our visualization also to really play out if it were not changed, what would that look like for all of us in terms of timing?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Thank you. All right. I'm just looking to make sure I'm not missing anyone. So, okay. I am not seeing anyone else. And so, all right, we are about half an hour from our mandated break. And so let's go on. Let's go ahead and take public comment on agenda item number 4, all of the subcommittee reports. Katie, I'm going to call you back.
Yes, Chair. The Commission is now taking public comment on agenda item 4, A through O. To give comment, please call 877-853-5247 and enter the meeting ID number 886-5389-8419 for this meeting. Once you have dialed in, please press star 9 to enter the comment queue. The full call-in instructions have been read previously in the meeting and are provided in full on the live stream landing page. And we do not have any callers at this time, Chair.
All right, thank you, Katie. Would you just let us know when the 2 minutes or the full set of instructions are read off or finished on the live stream?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
I'd like to ask those calling in. Oh, I do see star 9. Sorry, Chair.
We do have a caller.
Caller with the last 44075. If you'll please follow the prompts to unmute. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Hello, Commission. We appreciate these conversations about lessons learned. In the 2010 Final Commission Handbook, the Commission recommended posting transcripts and one-page executive summaries of all actions taken within 48 hours of every meeting. Does this Commission plan to heed this recommendation? Are we still awaiting transcripts and summaries, especially as your meetings are increasing in number? This is items 16 and 30 in your final handbook. I greatly appreciate your response. Thank you.
All right, thank you, caller. Director Hernandez, I'm going to ask you to comment on this. I do believe that there is work being done on this item.
Yes, we're continuing to work with our vendor to get the transcripts. There's quite a few that they provided to us. Now, the 48 hours, I don't believe we've been able to, we'll be able to meet that time frame at this point. We do have summaries that are provided where we identify the timestamp for the video, for reference in the video itself, and we also indicate what motions were taken on that document. It's I wouldn't necessarily call it a summary, but I believe it is very similar to that, where it identifies that information. So we're still working on the other piece, though.
Thank you, Executive Director Hernandez. Okay. Katie, I don't think I see any other callers.
That is correct, Chair. We have no other callers in the queue at this time.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, number 5, committee updates. And this is for number 5A, Public Input Design Committee. Commissioners Ahmad and Fornachari.
Sure. We met, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. We designed the agenda prior to our last meeting, and what we had put to talk about on the agenda for that meeting was really kind of looking at the COI input. How do we review the COI input as we're going along during this phase? What is the strategy for looking at when this input phase is over? What's our strategy for looking at the COIs and doing a review of all the input? And then the other thing on the agenda was discuss phase 3. What does line drawing look like? Subsequently, you saw the line drawing committee's report that they put or proposal that they put forward, and they've proposed approaches for all 3 of those things, and they're going to work through those 3 things that we need to do and report back to the entire committee. We did have a good discussion though about looking at at the COI input and, what's our approach for looking at it, and unfortunately, as we all know, the database is not up and running yet. But we wanted to ensure that, we're treating all input equally. And so in order to do that, we need to wait for the database to be done and populated so that we can review all of the input. And so unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that as soon as we would like. But, again, the line drawing proposed plan had the dates of, where are we? August 10th, 19th, and 31st, if the data were available at that point for reviewing the COI input. And then they put proposed dates of September 15th, 17th, and 18th to really go through all the COI data in detail, before we begin line drawing. And then, we talked about this, what is it going to look like for public input after the draft maps are put forward. And again, the line drawing team is going to think about that and put together a proposal to bring forward to the full commission. So we talked about sunsetting the committee, but we decided we have one more meeting scheduled for August 16th, and we're just going to leave that on the books. And if the public input design committee meeting, needs to get together and talk about something at that meeting to bring forward to the full commission, we'll do that. We'll put an agenda together and then decide later if we need to meet. If not, we would, either way, we'll propose sunsetting the committee, and the line drawing committee will take the design of the rest of it on from there.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Fornaciari. Is there any comments or questions about, okay, Commissioner Achman?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that Commissioner Fornaciari led us through a record time in getting us through the meeting. We were in and out in 1 hour.